Shabbat Shalom. Let's all start with a song without words. We'll pull ourselves together. Well, welcome everyone. It's pretty cold out there, but I know we have some people from Rochester, New York here, so we're not intimidated by the cold. And I see there's even a few people from Charlottesville who dared to come in here. When you came in, go ahead and take a prayer book. Did everyone take a prayer book when you came in from the cart, just next to the door? We're going to sing Hine, Matov Umanayim, welcoming one another. It's so good to be together and be here for Shabbat tonight. Both those of you in the room and those of you who are joining us on Zoom tonight. Hine matov umanayim sheberachim ga yachad. Hine matov umanayim sheberachim gam yachad. Let's try that. Hine matov umanayim sheberachim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim sheberachim gam yachad. So I want to invite us to turn to page 120 in the prayer book, and we'll light our Shabbat candles together. I want to invite Jill Rubin and Debbie Rubin to come forward on page 120 to light our Shabbat candles, and then we'll sing each other a little Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom u'mivorach. Amen. So we're just going to sing each other Shabbat Shalom u'mivorach. May you have a blessed Shabbat. Shabbat, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, Shabbat Shalom U'mevorach. Shabbat Shalom U'mevorach. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. And we have the custom or the belief or the tradition that on the eve of the Sabbath, the special angels of the Sabbath, special spiritual principles that we call angels, visit every home and wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom. So we welcome those angels with the singing of Shalom Aleichem, which is on page 142. And you'll notice that there are 4 verses to this song, this prayer. The first one begins just with the words Shalom Aleichem, meaning welcome, greeting, I notice you, you're here. The second verse is Boachem l'shalom, enter into this place, enter into this room, enter into our hearts, b'shalom, with peace. And then, like Jacob, our ancestor, we ask for a blessing. Barchuni l'shalom, bless me, bless us with peace. And then we say Tzeitchem l'shalom, take all the Shabbat spirit that's in the room here and take it out into the world, to the next place where these angels would go. So we sing Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Yon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzidchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And turning back to page 138, our other hymn for this Sabbath is Lecha Dodi. We imagine that we are going to greet the Sabbath as a bride, as a queen, as a special presence that comes into our lives at this moment. We'll sing verse 1 and 2 on page 138, and verse 5 and then verse 9 on page 139. And our custom is on the last verse to rise and to face the door, and to, in our minds, imagine that when we sing this last verse, the special presence of the Sabbath enters the room, enters our hearts, and we take a little bow at the end of that verse to welcome the Sabbath. So I know we're here from different congregations tonight. We may not all know the same melodies, but this is one that's pretty easy to do. It goes like this. Here's how the chorus goes. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat mekabla. O lecha Dodi לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Let's try that. הולך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. הולך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתחילה. הולך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. הולך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 2. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. הולך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. הולך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. Verse 5. Awake, awake, let your light shine. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי אורי. אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. הולך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. הולך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. So why don't we rise now and prepare to greet the Sabbath Queen. בואי בשלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה. תוך אמוני עם סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. הולך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. הולך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה. We remain standing and we turn to page 146 for the Baruch Hu. Well, next Friday night, if you come back here or if you're still here, we're going to have a whole Friday night service that is led by Noah Aronson. And one of his most popular songs is Am I Awake? So I thought we would practice that tonight just to make sure that when we get there next week, we'll do a good job. So we begin before the Baruch Hu, which is the call to prayer. that I will call out to the congregation, and the congregation responds to me. Let's make sure that we're awake. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruchu et Adonai Hamevorach. Leolam vaed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. You may be seated. And let's read together in the English on page 149, the prayer for the changing of the times and the seasons. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sends the way. Your breath guides the star of the stars. Creator of the time and light, you guide the currents of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'ma'ariv Haravim. So on the next page, page 150, we sing this prayer. Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael Amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot Hukim u'mishpatim Otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shachvenu Kumenu nasir b'chukecha V'nismach b'divrei Toratecha U'b'mitzvotecha le'olam va'ed Ki hem chayenu Ve'orech yameinu Uvahem nehege yomam v'layla Nehege yomam v'layla Ve'ahavatcha al tasir Mimenu le'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael. Turning to page 152. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. page 154, we'll chant at the top of the page these words which follow the Shema in the book of Deuteronomy, in the Torah, and then we'll read together the translation in the English. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. Together, you shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand. Let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. Adonai Elohechem. Amen. Let's read together on page 157. That's kind of our preparation for the Mi Chamocha, the prayer in which we recite again at every prayer service the words that were spoken when the people of Israel crossed the sea and experienced freedom for the first time. So we read together. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea on page 158. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osefel, Nora tehilot osefel. Ma'alechutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam. Le'eli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la ya la 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 la, ya la ya la la ya la 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 la. Good night. את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל. And on page 161 and 160, another Noah Aronson song, Let There Be Love. We're going to sing the first couple lines on page 161 and then go back to the Hebrew, page 160. The song can actually be done in 2 parts. So if you know a second part, go ahead and try to make it happen. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu L'Shalom, Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu, Hashkivenu L'Shalom. Let's read the words in English. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, O guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace, and guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and our coming to life and peace evermore. Baruch atah Adonai, hapore sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. Ve'al Yerushalayim ve'al kol amo. Ve'al Yerushalayim shalom. Baruch atah Adonai, hapores sukat shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael. And on the next page, we notice that the name Yisrael, which is given to our ancestor Jacob in this week's Torah portion, is still the name that we are going by. We are the Bnei Yisrael, and this prayer reminds us that the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, the descendants of Israel, will keep the Sabbath in every generation. So we sing together. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. So turning now to page 164, we come to the part of the service that is called tefillah, which is just the generic word for prayer, but we also call it amidah, which means standing. And in just a moment we'll rise and we'll do this next part of the service in a standing position. We'll open with the words on page 164, which are really kind of a prelude to prayer, words from the Psalms that actually express the hope that the words that we speak, or even the words that rise in the heart, are capable of giving praise, capable of expressing what we feel inside, what we yearn for, what we ask for, where we are in our lives and where we want to be. And then we'll continue on the following pages with the first couple blessings of this Amidah, the standing prayer, and then we'll allow some time for silence. And in the silence, you can use the words that are on the page as a prompt for thinking about certain things, or you could just use the silence and the time to check in a little bit with what's going on inside, see if words arise in the mind or words arise in the heart. And in this moment and in this place of prayer, I'll try to shape those words into the language of prayer. And when you've finished your prayer, you may be seated. So we rise on page 164. Ananana Adonai, Ananana Satai Tifta, Ananana Ufi Agi Teilatecha, Adonai Sifatai Tiftach, Ufi Agi Teilatecha, Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 166. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Geula Libnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham, Ezrat Sarah. Page 168. Atah Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechayei HaKol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'Morid HaGashem, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechayei HaKol Berachamim Rabim. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. Page 170. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. Continue privately. Page 180. We conclude this part of the service really with words that we use to conclude every part of the service. These last words of the Amidah, these last words of the Kaddish. Oseh Shalom Bimramav, we ask that the one who makes peace in the high heavens help us find a way to make peace in this world. Shalom Aleinu. I'll call Yisrael on the whole people of Israel. I'll call Yeshvei Tevel on everyone in the world. And we'll say Amen. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. Oh, say shalom bimromah. Oh, yeah, say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru. Amen. Ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 ya la 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 la. So in the Torah portion that we're going to read tomorrow morning right here in this place, when Jay and also Jeff will be called to the Torah for the very first time, Jay is going to tell us a little bit about the dramatic events that take place in the biblical story. You know, when people get assigned bar mitzvah portions, they don't really know what's in them. They just know the name of the portion. And then when they start working with the rabbi, sometimes it's a little horrifying. But this is one of those portions that there's so much to talk about. It's so interesting. You could read this over and over and over again and always find something interesting about it. And Jay is going to bring some of that forward tomorrow. He's going to tell us a little bit about the very, very dramatic events that take place in this biblical story, in this portion of the Torah that we're reading, which opens up on the night before Jacob, our ancestor, who has been away from home for many years, is about to encounter again his brother Esau. Now, the last time that he saw his brother Esau was when the two of them were younger, and at that time Jacob, through deceit, had tricked his father Isaac into giving what the Torah calls his most innermost blessing, the one that everyone in the family knew was meant for the firstborn Esau. Once Isaac dies, Jacob fears for his life, and he runs away from home, fearing that Esau will want to kill him in revenge and anger, as perhaps we can understand why that might be. And now, 20 years later, Jacob, who is now the head of a large family, is on his way back home, and as the Torah portion opens, the two brothers, are about to meet again. Jay is going to tell us more about this tomorrow, and he's going to focus on some of the various ways that our tradition understands the strange story that follows of the wrestling match that takes place in the darkness and in the night, all night long. And he'll share some thoughts about who Jacob's opponent, who is not named in the Torah, might actually be. Tonight, I want to note something else that happens at the end of that night-long struggle. The night is almost over, and neither one has been able to defeat the other. And as the dawn is breaking, Jacob's opponent, who apparently does not want to be seen in the daytime, says, "Let me go, for the dawn is breaking." And then Jacob replies, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." So ordinarily, we might think that Jacob is expecting to receive some benefit, some gift, perhaps some power, maybe the kind of thing like the 3 wishes that you might get from a genie, or from a fairy, or from some other powerful being. Or perhaps even some promise of protection, like, for example, the first words of the priestly blessing, where we say, "May God bless you and keep you," right? Offering words of protection or blessing. But this is not the gift that he receives. The opponent, the wrestler, asks Jacob, "What is your name?" And he replies, "Jacob, Yaakov." And then the opponent says, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but rather Israel, Yisrael, for you have striven with beings both divine and human, and you have prevailed." And then Jacob says to the person with whom he's been wrestling, "Now you tell me your name." And the man replies, "Why do you need to know my name?" Very cryptic answer. Why do you need to know my name? I'm the one who's giving you the name. That's what's important here. And in fact, the unknown wrestler does not reveal his name, and Jay will talk a little more about this tomorrow. But he does bless him. And the blessing that he receives, the blessing that Jacob asked for and that he receives, is no more and no less than a new name, the name Yisrael. No longer Yaakov, the follower, the one who came after, but Yisrael, which means the one who struggles, the one who wrestles with God. In some ways, it's the most important name in the whole Torah, because a great many of us here in this room tonight are still carrying the name. Jacob and his 12 sons and one daughter and all their descendants become known as the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel, or the descendants of Israel. We just sang those words a few minutes ago. The Shamru Bnei Yisrael et Shabbat. The people of Israel, the descendants of Israel, observe the Shabbat. That's us, right? Still holding on to this name so many years later. So the story, in a way, or the teaching, reminds us that names do not only serve to randomly distinguish one thing from another. This is a Jeep Cherokee. This is a Subaru Forester. Those names really have no meaning except to designate different things. But in our tradition, the names also carry a very, very heavy spiritual potential. And in many families, including the Hansen family, names will sometimes carry the memories of specific individuals in the family who came before us. And they also might carry, at least Hebrew names do, a kind of promise or a kind of a wish, the hope that the bearer of the name in this generation will partake or embody the spiritual qualities associated with the person whom they were named, or even maybe partake of some of the qualities of the biblical ancestors who first brought those names, who we first encounter in these early stories of the Torah. Jay, for example, your Hebrew name, Abraham, recalls our ancestor whose hospitality and curiosity and faith and vision made him the ancestor of many nations and a spiritual pioneer. And Celia, the name Chaya, brings forth the language of life and living and nourishment and flourishing, but also Sarah, the one who remained hopeful for God's promises to be fulfilled. And Verity, the name that you'll receive tonight, Zohara, speaks of light and radiance, but you'll also carry the name Deborah, a powerful woman, a warrior, as well as a judge who settled disputes between people. So I think it's nice tonight that, unlike in the case of very, very small children who are named on the 8th day or thereabouts, you are able to understand the meaning of these names and to be part of the process of receiving them. But it's also important to remember, as a Midrash Tanchuma teaches us, it says, every person has 3 names. There's the name they are given by their parents, and there's the name by which they are known by others, and then there's the name that they acquire for themselves. Hope I'm not stealing your thunder on this. Totally? Sorry. I think this teaching requires, or recognizes, right, that we receive the names that we're given as tokens of love and hope from our parents who need to make those choices, sometimes under duress, like between the moment of birth and the time that you have to fill out the certificate before you leave the hospital, when we are very, very young and when they do not know all that much about us, really. And also that we are known sometimes by a second set of names according to the way that others see us in our interactions with them. Now, hopefully those will be good names, but not always. And we also know that these other names, the way that others refer to us or think about us, can sometimes be quite shallow and quite frivolous because they don't really know who we are. They're not in our life and they don't understand us the way that we know who we are. And that's why the Midrash goes on to say that the best of these names, the most important one, is the name that we acquire for ourselves. And we acquire this name, this third name, as a result of the way that our life takes shape over the years and the qualities that we express and the values that we embody. Or, as the Midrash adds, by doing mitzvot and good deeds, in that way, a person acquires a good name for him or herself. So at this moment, I want to invite up the Hanson family, Alyssa and Jeff, and Jay and Celia and Verity, and we'll confer upon you your new Hebrew names. So I'm going to say a few words of blessing for all three of you, and then your mom and your dad, or maybe one or both, will say a few words as well about your name. So we say to you, Mishaberach Avotenu, may the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, Yevarech Otchem, bless these young children, not so young, some of them. V'yizku horehem legadlam, lechancham, ulechachamam. May their parents have the joy of raising them and educating them and teaching them wisdom. V'yu yedehem emunah, and may their hands be faithful, and may they live to bring honor to the house of Israel and many blessings to humanity. We all say, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu, God and God of our ancestors, Kayem et hayeladim ha'ela, sustain these children through their parents' loving care. V'yekara shemotehem b'Yisrael, and let them be known among our people Israel with the names Avraham Yisrael ben Shalom ve'Elka, Chaya Sarah bat Shalom ve'Elka, and Zohara Devorah bat Shalom ve'Elka. V'yizku l'chaim shel Torah, chuppah, u'ma'asim tovim. May you live lives filled with Torah and wisdom. May you one day find happiness with a loving partner in life. And may your lives be filled with acts of righteousness and service to humanity. And we all say, Amen. So Jeff and Alyssa, if you want to say a few words about them.
Jay, Celia, and Verity. As you know, this ceremony is happening later for you than it does for most other Jewish children. You are no longer wiggly, bald, chubby newborns, and Dada and I are no longer new parents, exhausted, delighted, and slightly terrified that we're now wholly in charge of brand new humans. You just exhaust, delight, and terrify us in new and exciting ways now. Your naming is delayed because our family's journey to get here is unique. On October 7th, 2023, in the wake of unimaginable tragedy in Israel and felt by the Jewish people all over the world, our family became October 8th Jews. We came home to our Jewish identity and Jewish community. Out of that darkness, you have become the light. You each already have English names that were chosen before your births that hold deep meaning, connecting you to generations past on both sides of the family. Today, you will each receive a Hebrew name that both reflects who you are as people and connects you to your Jewish roots. Jay, your Hebrew name is Abraham Yisrael. Abraham for my great-uncle Abe, the oldest of 3 siblings who I remember fondly as being exceptionally kind, and Yisrael for the reason our family is here today. One of your first experiences after we joined CBI was attending the March for Israel in Washington, D.C. Also, as luck would have it, Jacob receives the name Yisrael in your Torah portion tomorrow. Your name chose you. Celia, your name is Chaya Sarah. Chaya means life. From the day you were born, you've had a spirit that truly lives life. You are confident and determined, and you know what you want. Sarah is for my great-aunt Sarah, the middle child and great-uncle Abe's sister, who is a delightfully unique person who lived her life helping others. You also share her love of cats. Verity, your name is Zohara Devorah. Zohara means shining or bright. You completed our family of 5 with your silliness, laughter, and sharp mind, and you truly are a bright light in our family and in the world. Devorah is after the mother of my namesake, my great-grandmother Alice. Devorah means honeybee, a name that symbolizes determination, wisdom, and leadership. Rabbi Karen Miller Jackson writes that names are not neutral. For many Jews today, a name can feel like a declaration. Dada and I hope that you embrace your names as a declaration of who you are and who you want to be in this world. And I forgot to do this when I was talking to you, but when I went to Israel recently, you each now have a necklace, I think this is right, with the first initial of your Hebrew name.
From the Midrash Kohelet Rabbah, a good name is better than fine oil. Fine oil descends, a good name ascends. Fine oil is temporary, a good name is eternal. Fine oil is finite, a good name is infinite. Fine oil costs money, a good name is free. Fine oil is for the living, a good name is for the living and for the dead. Fine oil is for the wealthy, a good name is for the poor and the wealthy. Fine oil wafts from the inner chamber to the banquet hall. A good name carries from one end of the world to the other end.
So I'm going to ask everybody here to join the family and the extended family as we sing Shahachianu. We are also commemorating Jay's being called to the Torah tomorrow, and I believe Celia has a birthday tomorrow as well. So all those things, a new name, a new birthday, a coming to the Torah for the first time, so we all sing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lahazman hazeh. Mazel tov. So I thought before we begin to conclude that we'll offer a prayer for healing, a Misha Berach. We ask a Misha Berach can be a prayer of affirmation and blessing, but also could be a prayer asking the ancestors or the God of our ancestors to grant us healing. So if there's anyone for whom you wish to pray for healing, or anyone whose name you wish to mention out loud or privately, I invite you to do so when I pass my hand over the congregation. So if you need the words, they're on page 109 in the middle of the page. Not many of us know these by heart, right? Misheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavote. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. The Aleinu is found on page 586, at the bottom of the page, and the congregation will rise. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. And let's read together the top paragraph on page 589. Let the time not be distant, O God, when all shall turn to you in love, when corruption and evil shall give way to integrity and goodness, when superstition shall no longer enslave the mind, nor idolatry blind the eye. O may all created in your image become one in spirit and in friendship, forever united in your service. Then shall your realm be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever, on page 591. Thus it has been said, Adonai will reign over all the earth, and on that day Adonai will be one, and God's name will be one. V'ne'emar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol ha'aretz. Bayom hahu, yeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad. You may be seated. We're going to begin to conclude with the Mourner's Kaddish. First, I'll make some announcements. Tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock, right here in this room, we'll have our Shabbat morning service, at which Jay will be called to the Torah for the first time. And also on Sunday at 3 p.m. in Nomansky Hall, Rich Schrager and Risa Golubov-Schrager, both professors at the law school here, are going to give a talk on the laws that govern the treatment of homeless people in this country. And Risa's interest in her scholarship is basically the history of the civil rights. And she's going to help us draw some connections between the vagrancy laws that were used as an instrument of Jim Crow and racism in this country, and their extension and their descendants, really, in the laws concerning homelessness. And so it should be an interesting talk, and if you're here, you're welcome to come at 3 o'clock on Sunday the 7th, unless you're back on your way to warmer climates like Florida or wherever you're coming from for this bar mitzvah. Anyways, we are going to conclude with the Mourner's Kaddish, or begin to conclude, which is on page 598. This week in our congregation, we're remembering Seymour Berry, Augusta Brownfield, Mark Freed, Sheldon Genzier, Kathleen Johnson, Mildred Carrot, Sherry Lowe, Tessa Majors, Monroe Miller, Wilson Pickering, Gertrude Ruban, Sidney Shapiro, Thomas Smalchik, Estelle Teplitsky, Elsie Weiss, Nathan Schulder, Max Rubin, Ida Miller, Josephine Felser Marcus, Abraham Jacobson, Phyllis Eisenberg, and we are still observing Shiva or Shloshim for Gloria Freed, mother of Samantha Freed. So at this time, anyone who is observing a yahrzeit or a period of mourning, or anyone who wishes to join the mourners, is invited to rise for the Mourner's Kaddish, which is found on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, b'alma divra chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru, Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam leomei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal, shemei dekudesha b'richu, La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran b'alma v'imru, amen. Yehe shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. We ask that the source of peace send peace to those who mourn. So after the service, if you don't mind bringing your books back and putting them right on the cart, but then don't clog up the hallway, proceed into Omansky Hall. We have a little challah, a little bit of wine, and I think we have some challah and wine for all of us to share. And if you are new or here the first time, make sure you come up and say hello to me and introduce yourself, and why don't you also greet someone else who you don't know and spread a little bit of Shabbos love, Sabbath joy around the room in the reception. So we'll gather around in a circle. We'll pass out this wine and also juice. The wine is red. The juice is, it's kind of yellow. It's like yellow or brown. It's grape juice. It's grape juice. And then we'll make the kiddush together. So on page 634 at the bottom of the page, very, very simple Shabbat song. Ma yafeh hayom. It's a question or it's a statement. Ma yafeh hayom. Oh, how beautiful is this day? And then Shabbat Shalom. We'll sing Shabbat Shalom to one another. Let's try it. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma yafeh hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good Shabbos.